a lot of initiates would go to Egypt, so they were practicing resurrection.
The temple is not a church. The temple is your body.
I wish we were taught this in school.
To really get you out of that detox of what civilization can bring to you.
I am so incredibly excited to share the guests of today's episodes with you. I am interviewing Heather and Donny Regal, who are the co-founders of Black Swan Temple. And honestly, that temple is pretty much the place where I became known as quote unquote New Vic. I still cannot really put into words exactly what happened there, but the amount of transformation and shifts and life-changing experiences that I had in just the space of 5 days of spending time with these incredible humans. I mean, look back on my time at the Black Swan Temple and remember waking up in Hawaii, the sun on my face in their garden every day. I remember home-cooked vegetarian breakfast, followed by yoga, aerial yoga, and a sound bath, and then venturing out into the miracle of bounty that Maui, Hawaii is. Like, whether it's traveling the road to Hana, or going to see the giant turtles at the beach, or simply swimming in waterfalls, and then coming back into circle, having a beautiful ritual and ceremony with incredible like-minded humans. And by the way, these two can cook. Like, we didn't necessarily touch on that in the episode, but wow, just their cooking is incredible. They have a vegetarian cookbook, by the way, which I personally use and have replicated a few recipes. So, I mean, I could just go on and on about how incredible they are, but really, I'll let you find out for yourselves. And the amount of wisdom that you're about to receive, I do want to share that these are incredible humans. I mean, they have walked this earth with multiple different challenges and changes, and whether it's career changes or life kind of, shaking them up and making them navigate in a different direction. And they have taken all of these life events and used them as growth opportunities, used them to become better. And I love the conversations that we had around spirituality and stress and what you can do to really make your life better, because at the end of the day, it's all in your hands. It is all your responsibility. So, without further ado, enjoy the episode. Maybe go for a little mindful walk or get cozy. If you're driving, please drive safe and enjoy. Welcome to Resonance, a podcast for ambitious, heart-led humans craving more balance, depth, and aliveness in their lives. I'm your host, Vic, health coach, yoga teacher, facilitator, and fellow high achiever, learning to live in tune with my nervous system, not against it. And this space is here to remind you that you can have it all. The career, the success, the fulfillment, all aligned with your truth. Through honest conversations, expert insights, and practical tools, we'll explore how to work with your body, mind, emotions, and spirit, not against them. And the best part, you don't have to stay stuck in survival mode to get there. Because true well-being is not about being perfect. It's about being in resonance. Let's dive in. Okay, welcome again, Heather and Donny from Black Swan Temple from Maui, Hawaii, my dream place. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on Resonance.
Of course, it's an honor.
Maui is a great place, and Maui misses you.
I miss Maui, and I miss the two of you probably more than Maui.
Aww.
Amazing. Well, yeah, I'm so grateful that you've come on. And before we jump into kind of, the crux of the episode, I just really would love for you to introduce yourselves and just give a little background, who you are, what you do, and the magic that you share with the world, if that's all right.
Sure. I'm Heather, and this is Donny, my husband. And we have the Black Swan Temple here on Maui, Hawaii, the North Shore. We're a farm and a little eco retreat center. And we are cultural creatives. We are very creative in a lot of different ways, and are, really in order to bring forth a more just, sustainable, loving presence on the earth for humanity, our brothers and sisters. And we do that through sacred music, sound healing, wellness retreats, spiritual retreats, pilgrimages to Egypt,
prayer formance.
We're a farm. We grow lots of pineapples in particular. Pineapples right now.
How it seems that
dozens and dozens and dozens. Hundreds and hundreds. So we have tropical fruits and flowers, and special to me, I grow blue lotus flowers and make tinctures and roses. Some of what we do.
That is incredible.
Together since 2011. We're married, and we love to create together.
She's a keeper.
You want to say anything else?
Living on Maui is certainly a privilege and an honor, of course. And I've been here a long time. I have exported Heather out of the Madlands into paradise, which I thought and we are very grateful to just have a little place we call home, our farm, that we really, we try to get the most value out of the farm. But get the value for ourselves, but we love to share, and we do lots of events, and we are a sound healing team. We have quite the dynamic duo when it comes to creating meditations and things like that, and recording them and getting that prayer formance out to the world. It's one of our favorite things. We're also both ministers under the Temple of Isis. So I've been a life coach and NLP and the thing that has been really a turn on for me lately is studying Hermeticism under Thoth and bringing that more into my life and sharing it with others. And we are leading a trip to Egypt in October, it's ironically our 5th trip, but this one is even more exciting to me than ever, because as I study Thoth and I realize the hieroglyphs have a glyph energy from them that I'm really looking forward to replugging into. I mean, that is like a big, I just can't wait to get back there. So of course, it's always an honor to be on Maui. I'm sure once I'm there for a month or so, we will want to come home again. Since COVID, we've really studied this whole principle of Zoom, and I think you're using something even different. But there, this way of being connected online, which is a beautiful thing. Thank God for the internet gurus who put this all together. So we can just have this conversation right now, and really reflect and share and inspire, digitally online, which is a new world that we've all stepped into, certainly in the last few years.
Yeah, an honor and a privilege, right? And thank you so much for sharing, the vast depth of what you do. And I love the way you put it, Heather. You two are creatives. Like, as you speak of everything that you do, it all does come down to that creativity, and you are so adaptable to kind of what the world needs right now, and really generous, incredibly generous with your offerings and everything that you do to be of service. And I'm really grateful, Donny, that you mentioned also Egypt. I am manifesting. It's gonna be, it's coming up in the next few years. I can feel it. And I would really love to touch on that a little bit later down the line as well, and have you share, what it means to be a minister or a priestess ordained and kind of under Isis, and about the blue lotus flower, which I know is so magical, Heather, that is so close to your heart. So there's definitely so much juiciness to explore there as well. And before we dive in further, I wanted to ask you a question that maybe a little bit tricky, maybe not. But interestingly, what's the one thing that doesn't show up on your bio that you'd be comfortable sharing about yourself?
Do you want to start?
No, go ahead.
Oh, sure.
I have to figure that one out.
Well, I don't know that there's nothing I'm not comfortable with, but I have had a few career iterations. I have a degree in economics, and I started off working in international sports. I worked for the NBA and the World Championship of basketball and all these different international sports. And I was an event producer, and I really was good at it. And then from there, I kind of left that and thought I was going to do television production. And I did a little bit of that. But I ended up becoming kind of actress. I've modeled through many different decades of my life, but I became an actress, and it got me all of a sudden to LA, where it's acting, and that led me into more my spiritual path. But yeah, I can't say that there's anything on my bio. I don't know.
I love that. I mean, that's already something that, people wouldn't know from a first glance on your website, right? So it's kind of that little bit of extra sneak behind the curtains of who you are. And I love that you're sharing that, and that is your path, because, as you know, Resonance is a podcast for high achievers who are currently in corporate, and they may be struggling with things like stress and work-life balance and their overall health. And I find that often that is kind of the start of the awakening, so to speak. And so a lot of our listeners may see themselves in your story of kind of your previous career iterations as well.
Yeah, all the pivoting.
Yes, all the pivoting.
Following the bliss.
That's right. Yeah. And what about yourself, Donny? Is there anything that's not immediately findable on your official bio that we would love to know about you?
I've lived on Maui a long time, half my life. I've been married twice before Heather. Third is a charm.
Third time lucky.
Yeah. We are exactly 9 months apart. When I came into this world, I talked to my higher self and I said, "Where's my soulmate?" And they said, "We're working on it right now." So and it took us a while to really reconnect. But I am,
you're a mead maker, right? Not on your bio.
No, that is true. That's not. I don't know. Yeah, that is true. I love making mead.
Honey
wine. Only because it stores its value. It's really had incredible negotiating trade value. I can trade it for pretty much anything. So
I love that.
Yeah,
Donnie's stockpiling it just in case.
I don't have a belief system.
Valuable.
I don't have a belief system. Yeah. Well, if the world ever goes to hell, I'm covered. I'm gonna have a big stockpile.
They used to drink mead instead of water because it was healthier.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, who needs little coins of silver if you can actually ingest mead, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is.
And for actually, can you explain what mead is for any listeners who may not be sure what that is as well? Because it'd be great to give the context.
Well, we harvest a lot of things, a lot of fruit juices, or coconut water, things like that. If you take any kind of juice, including water or tea, add honey to it and a little bit of yeast, it ferments.
You get wine.
You get
wine.
Some sense of alcohol that pops out of there. And it's a live entity. I mean, once you start it, it turns alive. It starts to grow, and the yeast eats the sugar and ends up dying in the process, but it leaves the alcohol. And the older I get, the more I have a different level of appreciation for alcohol, because I never really drank when I was younger. Was never my thing, but you know what? Every once in a while, a cup of mead goes a long ways for my happiness, and it's a fun product of the land here.
Yeah.
I'll just
like
finish
preserves.
Yeah, preserves. I mean, because that fruit juice in the refrigerator will not last forever.
Exactly. And also, like, if you are going to create and consume alcohol, like, you may as well know exactly what's in there, right?
100%, it's medicinal, because
Mm,
I learned to utilize raw honey, and the honey actually some people use it for like who are diabetic. The
mhm.
meat brings the sugar in. It's part of the buzz of the land. So we would just things and being able to store it somewhere. My fantasy is to have a wine cellar that's got multiple years. I'm only on a couple years now, but dozens of years, so I can pull a bottle from 2022 or 2029 and go, this is a good year. It's the year to haven't
Yes,
got
design your own vintage labels, in 2050 when the whole world just turns to
yeah,
It's gonna be valuable.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, I love, the variety, and that's what I love. This is why I love asking that question, because you never know, what's kind of going to come up and what kind of little secret stashes people have got in their kitchen cupboards. And so I would really love to hear from you about the path of the mystical alchemist, because as we kind of look at everything that you do, Black Swan Temple, and you've got your mystical alchemy school, so much of it comes down to this. And so would you be able to share, first of all, what the mystical alchemist is, and then also just a little bit more around how you are of service in this space?
I can start. I mean, that's an easy question to ask. The mystical alchemist is, we have a lot of distraction in life. A lot of, it's today, especially with the media and everything, and how we're
Mm-hmm.
brought up, what our parents tell us, what our school tells us. The mystical alchemist is very much more aligned with the divine principle of energy in the mind. That what we believe is what we receive. That what we think is what we create. And we are especially attuned to paying attention to what our story is and what our energetic frequency is. And the more that we're aware of that, the more we can start to dictate or get back in the driver's seat and really be the driver of our own life. A lot of people, I'll say, I won't say us, but a lot of people are incredibly distracted by many things. They've been told a bunch of stuff that's not necessarily true. They've been
Mm-hmm.
told you can't, but if you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you can't, you're right, as Henry Ford would say. But it's important, it's crucial to really recognize that we are all divine mind. And as we own that, participate in that, and really start to become aware that what's happening in here is what's creating all this. We are, we're aligned with the seven hermetic principles. It all is mind. There's male and female in everything in the world. It's all energy.
Mm.
It's something that I think that the world is awakening to at this moment more than ever.
Yeah, can I add to that?
Yes.
Of course.
The mystical alchemy is kind of a combination, everything that Donnie said, and kind of foundationally, what you'll find in our mystery school is, I in the early 2000s, I went to seminary school and I'm an ordained Essene minister. And then I became a priestess of the Temple of Isis. And it's really a beautiful combination of the paths of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and the path of the Essenes, which is really based on Hermeticism, based on the sevenfold path of peace, creating peace with
Yes.
the mind, peace with the body, peace with your relationships, with your service, with your relationship with the earth and the cosmos. And it's a really dynamic practice. And so there's a lot of, some of this mind, or directing your mind to understand how you can, from your mind, direct your energy, how you can do cleansing and purifying, and your senior in your space, so you can kind of activate your energy field and learn how to take care of it, as well as develop your intuition and work with the moon cycles and solar cycles, connecting more deeply with the greater cycles that we are existing within.
Yes. Yeah. I love that you added that, because I wish we were taught this in school. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't use like Sokotoa as much as I use the cycles of the moon as an example to understand in my day-to-day life. And so for people who may not be familiar with the Essenes and the seven principles of Hermeticism, if I'm pronouncing it correctly as well, I hope. Okay. Can you share a little bit more? Because I think that's so important to spread this information, because there is, to Donny's earlier point, so much misinformation out there. So please let us hear it from the experts.
Sure. I mean, this goes way back to Thoth. So Thoth, or Tahuti, was an Atlantean priest. So before the Great Flood, really, there was Atlantis, and Atlantis was over there in the Atlantic side, off the coast of Africa and England and all that area, was Atlantis, and Atlantis was said to be inhabited by these basically higher dimensional beings. Usually they're more mature spiritually than us, way more.
That's not hard to imagine.
Yeah, they were doing like way beyond what we're like in kindergarten.
So you mean they weren't like scrolling their TikToks and like binge watching Netflix all the time?
Probably not. No. So Thoth was the Atlantean priest king. So when it fell, he went to Egypt and basically started Egypt with the pyramids.
Chem.
Okay. So at that time, too, there were survivors from the Atlantean times, from the Great Flood. There were some survivors. So there are other beings walking the earth, and some of them were the ancient Essenes. And this Essene sect, which they say that Jesus and Mary and John Baptist were all Essenes, they were really very devoted in their spiritual practice and their ways of being. And so Israel, that whole area is very close to Egypt, and where a lot of initiates would go to Egypt. They go to the Great Pyramids and
initiation,
and receive initiations. And Tahuti, or Thoth, said if you read the books about the seven hermetic principles, the pyramids are actually created to be like an ascension chamber, resurrection chamber. So they were practicing resurrection, how to separate from the body and resurrect. So the Essenes, and really we're studying this as well. So part of the resurrection mysteries is not just like a miracle that Jesus resurrected, but they say that he actually had this whole community that were in on the practices and supporting this whole process.
Yes. Yeah, which makes so much sense, right? Like, it doesn't just happen like that.
Oh my God, Mary Magdalene, what are you doing here? Like, they were
practicing.
They were practicing. This was a process that had been handed down from Thoth all through the generations, So it's that this was just a miracle that only one person was involved in is just, I don't believe that to be true. So then he also started different mystery schools, and all called temples of light within Egypt. And each of these temples had a specific kind of area of expertise. And also, Thoth is also associated with the Mayans and the Mayan temples and the
pyramids in general.
The pyramids, the Maya and the rainbow serpent thing is also those. So, and the Essenes also were traveling around the world. So I hope that makes that a little more clear.
It definitely does. And for the kind of average listener, I know we could spend hours and probably like study lifetimes worth of principles here, but would you be able to share what, at a top line level, those 7 hermetic principles are? Because I think they're still so resonant even in our day-to-day life, as you say, like that's really your purpose, your passion, spreading peace in the world. And if you need to look them up, that's totally okay as well.
I'll start with everything is mind. Mentalism.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything is mind, and that every aspect has a female and male principle in it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is vibration. Everything is a frequency.
All right. So mentalism is the first one.
Everything's mind.
Mm-hmm.
The principle of correspondence is the second one, which means as above, so below. As within, so without. Okay. Reminds us that harmony begins as within. If you can create peace within, then you can manifest it without, and you're kind of sharing that vibration of peace. So people become attuned to that vibration that you are carrying. And then vibration is the next one. Everything's a frequency. Words, actions, emotions all carry resonance.
Cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a cause and everything has an effect. Everything.
Yeah. And
then polarity and rhythm. They reveal that all life is a dance of opposites, of cycles. Make conscious choices is to find the middle path, and to integrate the shadow and light, to honor the ebb and flow, and to align with the divine timing rather than forcing outcomes. And then Donny talked about the principle of cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything's connected.
Yeah, nothing's random. Every choice sets into motion a ripple that returns to us.
And I think an important part of that that people fail is that we are all connected.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for naming that.
And to think that I'm doing better than this person, we're all one. In the everything is God, every single thing, and it's all connected. So to think I'm doing better, I got this and you don't, is such an ego trip. And
Right?
Well, it just creates separation, and the separation is what causes suffering. And then, as you can see, there's people that are suffering on the planet, unfortunately. In Atlantean times, especially before the fall, people were not suffering. People lived in harmony. Yeah. It was all a contribution of love and divine frequency. Unfortunately, people got greedy, and then that what created the fall of Atlantis.
Yeah, and the last principle is that of gender, which reminds us that within us lives a balance of receptivity and action, of intuition and will. The masculine and the feminine lives within each of us.
The yin and the yang, all right? And I mean, thank you so much for sharing that, because it all resonates so strongly, like it all rings so true. And if we all lived by these principles, as you say, Donny, then likely kind of we wouldn't be experiencing a lot of what we are today. Although going back to duality, maybe that's just part of kind of, our growth journey.
I think, humans are here to feel. And, to really understand goodness, you have to understand badness. So you have to experience badness to get the goodness out of it. Yeah. In order to feel joy, you got to experience pain. It's just part of the human experience. The point of the Hermeticism and the thinking is to go beyond that, is to recognize that that's what it is, to recognize that your greatest challenges are your greatest opportunities. A lot of people are afraid to make a mistake, or afraid to have the challenge, or don't want to acknowledge their shadow. Their shadow is their gift. It's like when life's really easy, there's not a lot of spiritual growth going on. But when the shit hits the fan, that's when people either wake up and smell the coffee and really become the phoenix rising, or they can play the victim, and they do that for however long that's.
Yes.
Which some people get a lifetime of that. But the point is embrace our troubles, as we embrace our pains, we embrace our challenges. The other side of that is the light, and that's what we're here. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. In Hermeticism, the point is to really own that truth and really really recognize the frequency of your mind, and let that become a navigating force in your life, as opposed to feeling You know, a lot of people use the outside world to judge what's happening on the inside world, and it's the mystical alchemist recognizes it's the exact opposite of that. It's
Yeah.
what's happening in here is creating all of this. And all of this is really an illusion. So, but enjoy the game, have fun with it, play with it, and yet don't be in denial or don't, avoid the pitfall. I mean, sure, we want to avoid the pitfalls in the sense that we can navigate around them, but as they do happen, which is part of the element of life, to embrace it and go, hey, there's an opportunity here, because in every piece of coal that you feel like gets thrown at you, there's a diamond in there if you polish it up.
Yes, that is so wise, Donny. And in fact, as you were sharing that, I had just like a throwback moment to where I was basically in your space, in your temple. I think it was our first or second night at the Black Swan Temple Mystical Alchemy Retreat, and you shared a similar analogy that like it's still with me to this day. And you said, we can take the shit that happens to us and you either wallow in it and just be miserable, or you use it and turn it into compost, right?
That's what we're supposed to do. Yeah, something beautiful out of it.
Exactly.
Is to learn that lesson. And I pray that we all are awakening to that divine truth, and we are recognizing that we're all in this together. It's not about being more or less or above or below. It's as above, so below. I mean, so it's all connected. And as we own that and recognize that, teamwork makes the dream work, and to embody our fellow souls out there and support them and nurture, and, we can all make this world a better place.
Yes, that is so well said. And you touched on that earlier as well, as that, whatever's happening to me or to you, it's so intertwined that also your success is my success, right? Like I feel that when people get into their ego brain and they kind of get into their shadows and they see someone thriving and doing really well, the kind of little ego voice goes, well, that's nice for her, but and it's like, well, actually, can we celebrate that?
Well, that's what's keeping you from getting your own. If you're going to sit there and berate people who are, when you see people that are successful, you want to go yes for them, because that's what vibrationally, that's the consciousness you need to be holding to get to that place. And if you sit there and go, those people don't deserve that. Well, of course, all you're doing is holding on the frequency that keeps you exactly where you are.
Exactly. And you're just recreating more of the same, right? Is that continuous, never-ending spiral.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me, I would love to hear your perspective on this. I have a perspective which I'll share later, but I'd love to hear your take. How, for people who are, kind of, I'm going to say like in our 3D muggle reality, maybe not as spiritually connected, they're just in the grind, shrimping away in front of their computers for 8 hours a day, clocking in, clocking out, exhausted, overwhelmed, stressed, really struggling. Like, how do we start to develop that snapping out of almost this hallucination, I guess, if that's for lack of better words? What is your perspective?
Yeah, for me, yoga and breath work and sound healing, and in particular, I mean, just having an awareness, number one, that you're overwhelmed, struggling, and want something different.
It's a good starting point, right?
And then from there, taking little baby steps, finding your path, and finding your community and finding your breath. And we hold so much on a cellular level in our bodies. And it wasn't until I came to sound healing, a shamanic form of sound rebirthing, really, that things really shifted for me. Because you can do so much with your voice, your sound, to begin to discover what you're holding, where you're holding in your pain body, and to acknowledge it and release it. Transformation has to happen through the witnessing and kind of re-experiencing of the pain, so we can release it and then anchor a new program.
Yes.
And I know can feel so overwhelming when you're in the depths of despair or depression, um, or, like, yeah, if you feel like
Mhm.
giving up, to kind of walk that path. But, there's things that you can do. I mean, we're online at least once a month for free, finding your teachers, taking steps. There's more and more courses out there. I love our sound healing course. It's breath, movement, sound, intention.
Is that the chakra one?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I participated. I can vouch. It's incredible.
Yeah, life changing. So that's
Mm.
something, people can do on their own, and to start to kind of get sovereignty again, and realize, take ownership back in what is going on, get back in the driver's seat, as Donnie would say.
Yes, yes. And I love that you kind of came to that conclusion, because I kind of planted the seed. But before I share my seed, actually, Donnie, I would also love to hear if you had anything to add, or maybe a different perspective from your side.
I mean, I would say that we are all divine beings, and that the first thing we need to really, really be aware of is, what are we feeding into our head?
Mhm.
Like, is our cell phone running our life? Is television
Mhm.
running our life? Do we have some friends that are really negative naysayers that are telling you can't all the time? Get rid of all that.
Okay, just a quick break here. If you love these kinds of conversations, you might also enjoy my newsletter. It's like a breath of fresh air in your inbox. Slow, seasonal, and always real. An email that you actually want to read for a change. If that sounds like your cup of tea, you can sign up below at liveandhealth.co or through the link in my bios at Live and Health. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Or
Yeah.
wean yourself off of it, or if you're going to do it in small doses, because you
Mm-hmm.
are what you put into your life is what you get out of your life. So
Yeah.
first and foremost, find those things that are not serving you, whether it's food, whether it's relationships, whether it's work. Find some way to contribute, and start to give yourself positive affirmations, whether it's you're taking better care of yourself. It could be something as simple as taking a bath, or finding some water time, or finding some nature time, or to really get you out of that detox of what civilization can bring to you, whether it be the EMFs or there's so much stuff out there that is
Yeah.
completely useless in our lives, but it has some little value. I mean, obviously, it's nice to have electricity, you know, but we don't want to be around cell towers all the either. We got to
Yeah.
find that balance. It's nice to have Wi-Fi, but we don't necessarily want to be inundated with 4,000 signals around. Get out and
Mm-hmm.
go hug a tree.
Get a little EMF blocker.
Stop and run. Put your feet on the ground so you get grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And drink more water. I mean,
Yes.
whether if you, I'm not saying you need to. I mean, you got to just be aware of what you put in your mouth. You got to be aware of what you put in your ears. You got to be aware of what you put into your eyes, and
Mm-hmm.
keep cleaning it up. Because
And on your body as well.
what comes in is what you're going to get out of your life. What's going on in here is so if you're feeding yourself a lot of negative stuff, it is not going to go well.
Mm.
You're going to suffer until you decide not to suffer anymore, which is a
Yes.
rough way to go. I mean, hopefully you'll
Yeah.
learn sooner than later, but some people are really doing a lot of suffering,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
sad. I
Mm.
mean, they're on their own paths, and like I said, there's no worse or better, or but
Mm.
if we're trying to become in the driver's seat, we need to clean up our input, so we
Mm-hmm.
can output of what we're doing. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are very distracted by their Instagram, Facebook, NBC, ABC, CBS, all that stuff. That could be, how much Netflix, what are you putting in?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. And
and
you hit that golden spot there when you said you can, until you decide not to suffer. And it's similar to what you said earlier, Heather, around, well, first of all, you need to have conscious awareness that, things aren't that well, and maybe they could be a little bit better. Because that is, in my humble opinion, that first step to transformation. I genuinely believe that unless we have awareness, we cannot move forward, right? There needs to be some level of consciousness of what the present is. And unfortunately, a lot of the things that you spoke about earlier are avoidance mechanisms. You said it yourself, right? We're just using all of this to block everything out so that we don't see the truth of the reality. And from awareness then comes choice, right? Then the world opens up. Like, yes, you could go deep down the path of kind of sound baths and courses and yoga, which is so incredible. I believe it's like a coming home, to be honest. And if that feels like a little bit much, then to your point, like, just have a bath, or like just 5 minutes of alone time by yourself without any devices.
One of the major phrases, spiritual phrases out in the world is to know thyself. Know thyself. It's been,
Yeah.
and so knowing thyself is recognizing when something's not working. Really paying attention to yourself, and you recognize that that's not good for me anymore.
Yes.
that really works. I like that. I'm gonna more of that.
More of that, less of this, right?
And
Yeah.
and life will improve. It's
Yes.
inevitable. It's not rocket science. It's super simple.
Yeah. Yes. And on that note, it's not quite a tangent, but it is a big topic that I just want to address because, we are all spiritual beings. You've addressed it multiple times. We are divine, and the three of us, are very much on the same wavelength. And I'm also conscious that some people who may not be as exposed to our worlds are still very much fed what they're taught, whether from social media or the news or what they were taught at school. And they might have a real constriction to some of the things that we speak about. And so I just wanted to really address kind of God and our divinity and the higher self, because when we say the word God, like for me, even 2 or 3 years ago, I used to like clench up inside. Like that's how badly my upbringing and the religion that I kind of started in my childhood had tainted that word for me, until I actually realized that spirituality can mean a million different things to a million different people. And B, when we say the word God, we don't mean some like bearded white dude sitting on a cloud looking down on us telling what to do. So can I just have both of you address what is like a really big subject? But I feel like I would just love to hear your expression and perception of the divine in your own words.
I'll start and say that, your temple, the temple is not a church. The temple is your body.
Mm-hmm.
In the real, that sense of God is you. You are a divine being. It's not outside of you. You don't ask God for forgiveness. You ask yourself for forgiveness. It's a part of the whole Ho'oponopono practice is really learning to forgive yourself. That's a big part of knowing thyself and getting out of your own way, is to forgive yourself. So God is that divine spark within all of us, every single one of us.
Beautiful. Yeah. Definitely God is within all of us. We all have that spark of divinity. In the Egyptian mysticism, they call God or the creator the Neter, and all of the gods or goddesses, they're not really gods and goddesses, they're Neteru. They each hold a divine aspect.
Yes.
Expression of the divine, which is like a divine principle. So, like Hathor holds a principle of joy. Joy is a divine principle, and other teachings will tell you that joy is more than emotion. It's a state of being, and it's a state of being of spirit. And so, when we are in spirit, we are inspired. We are in that joy. So we can look at all the different aspects, like Ma'at holds the divine principle of truth and balance and justice, harmony. So the divine is, to me, all these beautiful principles and aspects that kind of can help us, guide us towards creating more beauty and balance and harmony and joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's so beautifully said. And I really appreciate how eloquently you both express that, because I know it can sometimes feel like quite an intimate topic to express kind of our connection to the divine. But yeah, I love the way you both have put it. And I also want to say that every way is right, because we all live in our reality, right? Like as within, so without. So whether it's through nature, whether it's through our connection to ourselves or something greater than ourselves, like there is no right or wrong. There is just, it just is in a way. And you spoke to the body earlier, and I think, Heather, you mentioned the pain body as well. And I was wondering if you would be able to just briefly touch on the different layers of the body, which, of course, as a yoga teacher, we're kind of often taught and experience in our trainings and in our practices. But most everyday humans think that we just have this physical sheath, this body, and this is it, when that's not necessarily the case. So would you be able to kind of share with us your perception of the other layers of our bodies?
Yeah, well, in Egyptian mysticism, we have the physical body, we have the ba, which is the soul, and then the ka, which is the spirit realm, which is like a mirror. The ba kind of goes with the body, and the ka is more multidimensional, into that travels and goes into the ka that carries nature. So they all work together, these different layers of bodies. And then you can also look at it as the mental body, the physical body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, all different layers of our being as well.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's what I wanted to really highlight here, is that to expand people's consciousness and awareness of the different layers of themselves, because we so often are constrict ourselves, I guess not we, but like, people in general constrict themselves based on just what they can see. Yet when we dive deeper, there's so much more that may not necessarily be seen with the naked eye, but it's felt, it's still there, or it's energetic. And for example, like illnesses manifesting as blocked energy channels, or chronic pain. That's a big one, right? I don't know if you had anything to share about that. I saw you nodding, Donny.
Yeah, our body is our temple, and it's very difficult to be out in the world. We need our body to cooperate. It's a crucial part of us. And whether it's your emotional body, your physical body, your spiritual body, the more that we can get in line to know thyself. But when we come to the physical body, it's our temple. So it's really, really important to take care of it, because it's hard to have fun in life if you're in a lot of pain, or you're sick. So we need that physical body as our greatest temple to honor and support. And you can do that through yoga, you can do it through diet, you can do it hopefully through nature. Hopefully you do it in every way possible, so that your temple is your tool to move through this thing called the planet Earth, and and interact energetically with all these different beings and frequencies that are out there. It's part of our existence, is utilizing this body during our short little lifetime here, and really taking advantage of it and nurturing it.
Yes. Yeah. That's.
And when you become more aware of the chakras too, there's a great another to look at them through. And I love the chakra system, because it also connects not only our physical bodies, but it connects, like the root chakra, it connects you to the earth, like earth, water, blood, air, breath, fire, spirit. We're not separate from the elements, from what's around us. And so we love doing like the 7 directions invocation. and connecting that with the chakra system. Because when we begin to understand, like, okay, like let's take the solar plexus, which is element of fire, and like our solar sun and the solar energy being, it teaches us a lot about how it's related to our mental bodies, and can teach us a lot about, how does the sun energize the earth and energize seeds within the earth that have been planted, and helps them to grow up towards the sun. While our mental body is the way we use, it's like our sun of focusing our energy on those seeds of our intention.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you kind of understand, you just begin to explore and see, oh, wow, it's not separate. I'm not separate from it. And just with the emotional body, with water, water can take on lots of forms: hot, cold, ice, river, whatever. Well, it can take on a lot of forms: hot, cold, anger, sorrow, joy, bliss, ecstasy. It's just like the water, the lessons of the water.
Yes.
And how do we, balance or use it for creativity? And like none of them are wrong or bad, but are we stuck in some of them?
Yes.
Nice.
Need a bit of unblocking there, a bit of vocal activation, perhaps, with your online course.
So I think it can be very enriching when we are kind of diving into these explorations, and know that we're not just here by ourselves, separate, figure it out. That we have, the Essenes said nature was our Bible. Just study, do some gardening, get your hands in and everything that you'll learn about cultivating and growing something is the same thing you'll learn. Need to grow anything you want to grow in your life.
Yes. And take care of yourself as well, right? Like if the rose doesn't bloom, you don't blame the rose, you blame the environment, right? And so if we kind of take it to our listeners who are, again, likely have a lot going on, feeling quite burnt out, what's one myth about stress that you wish that people would simply unlearn? Like, what do you hear out there that you kind of, you hear it and it just makes you go, I have a different perspective?
Well, I'll say one thing right at the top of my head is stress is a choice. There's a lot of things that we get stressed out by things, but we choose to say, okay, you're stressing me out. That's a choice we're making. You talked about the environment. We have legs. If that environment's not working for you, then get your legs moving and get out of that environment. It's a choice. You can sit there and suffer, or you can, suffering is a choice. I'm sure if you cut your hand, it's going to hurt, but it's not going to necessarily, we are all here making choices every second of our life. And it's important to take that recognition that we're choosing to suffer, or we're choosing stress, or we're choosing, life is a choice. It's a continuous choice.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, very well said. And that just reminded me of Donnie and I used to teach children about emotions, cold emotions. Where are you in the thermometer right now? And if you want to be somewhere else in the thermometer, what can you do? So we used to ask the kids, what can you do? Like, adults, okay, what pills should I take?
Let me quickly drink a glass of wine and that'll help, right?
But for the kids, we brainstorm with them. They're like, I could go for a walk. I could ride my bike. I could go to the beach. I could talk to someone. I could.
Yes.
Simple little thing.
Well, they're such great tools.
Really, I could ask for a hug,
Yeah, we tend to get in our head so much about that, right? And you pointed out something that's so important. And Donnie, I feel like you wanted to add something as well.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that have become very masterful in the blame shame game. I call them the complainers, the whiners. It's everybody else's fault but theirs. And the reality is you are the navigator of the ship. You can give it away. You can claim this. You can't do it, but you can do anything you put your mind to. So, being a victim is a choice. Suffering is a choice. If things aren't working and you don't like what's going on, then, either move or change or shift or do something, but don't sit there and go, oh, it's all their fault. It's your fault for sitting there and accepting that. I mean, it's a choice. So you can always choose differently. You can always shift or navigate or move your energy towards something that's more supportive.
Yes. And I will add to that as well. Anyone who's listening to you say this right now, and immediately I know in their head they're going to go, oh, yeah, but blah, 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 reason. That's a mirror. So I just wanted to name that because chances are someone's listening right now and they've already come up with like 3 excuses as to why they can't do anything about it. And that's just, I'm just holding up a mirror on, what are those reasons? Are there really reasons to stay stuck? And is it really impossible? Because I think that's where people tend to choose to stay and justify it to themselves.
Coach, you can do anything if you're willing to do the work. Now, lazy is an option, and I'm not saying that that's the worst thing you can do, but you got to recognize that if you're being lazy, you're being lazy. It's not going to. You're not going to change your environment if you sit there the whole time. You're gonna have to get up and move your butt into a different place, metaphorically. So it's really, really important to recognize that you are the creator here, to not give away your power.
Yes. And to stay in our power, I would love to hear from you as we kind of come to almost the conclusion of our time together. First of all, from each of you, when life does get a little bit much, we all go through those seasons. Things happen. Again, we're on this planet for a reason, to learn all these lessons. So how do you personally recenter and reconnect with yourself when those times come up?
Well, I recenter and reconnect with myself daily. I mean, it's a practice that I meditate. Outside, we've got 2 copper pyramids, which are awesome. We have a swim.
You got
spa.
2 now.
One's for the 5th dimension, and the other's like the Giza pyramid. So that few minutes in that is awesome. But always taking time for each day to do a swim, a little self-care. Doing that regularly. It's just part of the process. And yes, things. It also affords me the opportunity to do kind of my self check-in, because sometimes things are stressing. I mean, we had the fires here. We had both of our mothers die within like a year of each other. We've had a lot of stuff happen. But taking that time to check in and just be with it. Self-empathy is one of the practice that we love to share with people, which is you're checking in, can you be there for yourself? Say, this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling whatever. And just name it, acknowledge it, and be with it. And whether you want to do some movement or sound or sigh, just that awareness and acknowledging. And then, luckily I have an amazing partner who's very emotionally intelligent. So stuff before I even am ready to talk about it. But
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And as you were sharing, your daily practice, 2 things immediately came to mind. One was that that daily practice, you showing up, whether it's on your mat or in your pyramid or wherever else that may be, it kind of fills up your cup so that when then things do happen, life does happen, whether it's the fires or a loved one passing away, you already have extra reserves of that self-care, that self-love, and it helps you navigate through those times better, like rather than just treating your practice as a band-aid when things are tough, right? It's like, no, whether it's a good day or not so good day, like I show up every day and that helps me build resilience. And the second thing that you mentioned is also taking that time. Many of the listeners here are probably under the illusion that they are time poor. And just the one thing I really wanted to say is that if we think we don't have the time to do a practice, then we definitely don't have the time not to do it.
Well said.
What about you, Donny? What are your practices?
I think the first and foremost, I believe that it's important for me to turn my frustrations into fascinations. That the world is not here to poop on you. The world, that's not the purpose of the world. The world is here to make us feel. So when, something simple is like a tire that blows out, you're like, oh shit, this is not fun. It is what it is. And this too shall pass. We're going to fix it. It's part of the feeling thing. And to not beat myself up over it. I don't need to beat myself up over anything. Everything is happening for a reason. And to look for, there's always going to be something positive that comes out of it. So instead of sitting there going, oh God, just go, okay, I get it. This is definitely not what I wanted. This is not what I expected. This is not what I planned. This is what it is. And I'm going to get through this and I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to find the solution. And as I do that, the more that I do that, the more I find that there's less things that bother me, because it's not a matter of being frustrated about it. It's just going, wow, to turn my frustrations into fascinations. It's like, wow, I do remember it was a little low. I should have probably, I should have myself, it's a reminder that when I saw it, I could have put some air in the tire. Okay, I didn't, and this is the payment I get, and I get it. It's not the end of the world. Thank God I'm still alive, and I will get through this. And all of us are going through experiences every day that we're like, oh shoot, that's not what exactly we want. I believe that we always get what we need, not what we want.
Yeah.
And there are times like when the tire goes out or something that you're like, oh man. And something, there's really, the angels are navigating things in ways are beyond what we consciously recognize. A lot of
definitely.
So look for the diamond in the coal, there's a diamond, there's an opportunity in everything.
And often some humor as well.
Oh, plenty of humor.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for sharing this. I think that was so valuable. And the signature question that I've been asking every guest that's come onto the podcast, and I'd love to ask each of you as well, is what's one thing from today's conversation that you hope will resonate with the listeners for a long time from today?
Go ahead.
I would love for people to leave here with a sense of hope and a sense of inspiration. Really. I've been through a lot of ups and downs and things, and when I found my spiritual path, it made me much more resilient and much more fulfilled and happier, and it brought me to my true self and to my true partners. So I would hope that, through this self-discovery, self-care, willing to have a devotional path. Start, never too late to start, and
yes,
you can do in every moment.
It's very powerful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And what about you, Donny? We
always get what we expect in life. And that the secret to having it all is to know that you already have it.
Ooh, yes.
It's really, really important to own your power and recognize that we're here to make a difference. We're all here to make a difference. And we don't do it by being distracted. We don't do it by blaming, shaming. We do it by really owning who we are, finding a purpose, and get activated. We, like I said, we are much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. So to really find some practices, whether it be breath, yoga, good diet, I don't know, running, jogging. I mean, there's a million things we can do that improves our being, our sense of wellness, our sense of confidence, and to really nurture ourselves, to really find the things that really bring life, that bring life into our being and keep supporting them.
Yeah. Thank you both so much. I mean, I personally feel lit up by this conversation today. And if that's the effect that you continue to have on me, and, after working with you for a few years now, I can only imagine how inspired someone's going to feel after they hear your wisdom and your guidance from today's episodes. And so I would just love to ask, where can people find you if they want to work with you? I'll obviously link all the details in the episode show notes, but it would be great to hear just, how can people find you?
BlackSwanTemple.org or Black Swan Temple on IG or Black Swan Temple on Facebook. So
Yeah.
there.
And I mean, it's everything you could imagine, right? Whether it's in person. I mean, I highly recommend going to Hawaii in person and experiencing the magic firsthand. Like that trip, as I know I've already shared with you in reviews, etc. Like it was absolutely life-changing and mind-blowing. Your pilgrimage to Egypt is coming up. Yes, Donny?
Yeah, our
The Egyptian connection has been so transformational for so many people. There's I don't like to think of myself as a teacher in any way. I'm just a guide along the journey. But the Egyptian thing is a remembrance. It's going to remind you of something, part of yourself, that is that divine being. The Egyptians really were living that in the most incredible way, and the temples are incredible reflections, and the glyphs on the wall. It's like a huge book. Every temple's got writings everywhere. And even though you don't read Egyptian, there's a transmission that goes on that is so life-changing, for lack of better. And it's part of it's part of remembering. Like I've never really, even as a life coach, and never claim I'm teaching anybody anything. I am really just reminding you and everyone out there how incredible you all are, and how we're all here to find our purpose. And as we do that, the angels are going to smile, and life's going to get easier. I promise you.
Yes. The green lights, the parking spaces, it all happens, right? Like you've had those experiences. You're like, oh, I'm in alignment with my divine timing.
Yeah. So you can find all about our Egypt pilgrimage and our ongoing Maui retreats, and we're doing
our free online stuff. Yeah.
Reiki retreats as well now. So that's all BlackSwanTemple.org.
Yes. And thank you for mentioning the monthly rituals that you do as well. I think that's so incredibly generous. I think they're donation-based every either full or new moon. They're incredible ceremonies. I've had the privilege of joining a few times myself. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend getting in touch with you too, and just letting the transmissions come through, because you carry a lot of wisdom, a lot of kindness and peace in your hearts. And so from the bottom of my heart, I'm just so incredibly grateful for you for coming on. This has been an absolute joy. So much love, and I cannot wait to see you in person again. I know it will come when it's meant to, so I just trust that will be at the right time. And in the meantime, be safe, stay grounded, and lots of love.
And aloha.
Aloha. All right, my friends, this is it for our episode with Heather and Donny. I mean, if I could, I would just keep them on for hours and hours, because I want to learn from them probably just as much as you do. My personal insights are truly around the 7 principles of Hermeticism, and I haven't necessarily had as much exposure into those teachings. So this has definitely sparked a little curiosity for me, and I'll definitely be doing a little bit of my own research and learning there, because I'm a fellow nerd. And what really stuck with me actually from our conversation is when Donny said that stress is a choice. I never actually looked at it that way, but he couldn't be any more right, because we have stressors in our life, which are the things that cause us stress, but then it is our choice about whether or not we stay stressed. So just something to contemplate. And for your next action step, I really suggest checking out Heather and Donny's site. They've got so many incredible offerings. I mean, there's something there for anyone and everyone. I am a loyal fan of theirs, as you can tell. And if you feel called to Egypt, please, please, please do join them. All the details will be linked up below. It is such an incredible experience from what they've shared. I mean, luxury retreat, deep teachings, transformation that isn't possible anywhere else. And I can tell you one thing is I will be going to Egypt, and when I do, I will be doing it with Heather and Donny, because there isn't anyone else who I would trust more than these two incredible humans to guide me through this initiation. So if you're interested, definitely check out the links below. Thank you for listening. Lots of love. Bye for now. All right, listen to this. I get asked by overworked, overwhelmed, burned out high achievers how they can release their stress without sacrificing their productivity all the time. And that is because I have been one of them. I've been able to heal my relationship with stress, all the while increasing my energy and achieve more than ever before at the same time. So for the very first time ever, I'm so excited about this. I am going to be pulling together and teaching a really small, intimate, select group of students how to detox from stress so that you can say bye-bye to burnout and overwhelm, and instead you can skyrocket your energy levels, all the while being more productive than ever before with ease. Doesn't that sound amazing? So if that's something that you're interested in, if you are done struggling with stress and overworking and you'd like to be a part of this special training, send me a message. Let's have a chat. I'd love to see you there. The views and opinions expressed by guests on Resonance are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of me, Viktoria Levenberg, Live in Health, or anyone working within the Live in Health brand. This space welcomes a diversity of ideas, experiences, and stories, and part of Resonance is learning to take what aligns and gently leaving the rest. Also, while I am a national board certified health and wellness coach and deeply passionate about well-being, this podcast is intended for educational and inspirational purposes only. Resonance does not substitute personalized medical, psychological, or therapeutic advice. Always seek guidance from qualified professionals for any physical, emotional, or mental health concerns.